Hey everyone, welcome to Founders 365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today I'm joined by Eric Rosenberg, founder of Personal Profitability. That is a hard word for me to say. How are you today, Eric?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, man. Let's jump straight into this then. Personal profitability. What is it that you do? What is it that you help? Give me an overview of everything about Eric.
Sure. Yeah. So to really understand personal profitability, we have to jump back a few years. Let's Tarantino it. We know where we
Yeah.
are today. Let's go back and find out how we got here.
If
So
we're
I
really Tarantino in it though, where this has now become a 3 hour podcast.
Oh yeah, sorry, I can't do a real Tarantino, and it won't be nearly as violent or profane.
No, it's PG rated.
Totally. So way back, I was always involved in the business world. My grandpa was a marketing professor at the University of Arkansas. My dad was a small business owner when I was growing up. So I've always had business around me. I remember of some early memories when I'd go out on summer vacation to visit my grandparents in Arkansas for a long weekend or a week. My grandpa would take me to the bank, and this was, let's say, early mid 90s. So we didn't all have computers at home yet, and we'd go to a terminal, and it looked like one of those things on the Matrix, black screen with just
Yeah.
green letters, and we'd type in ticker symbols, and that was the only way to get live uh, stock prices at that point
Wow.
in Arkansas, anywhere, unless you were watching, CNBC or something. So every day on a weekday, we'd go down to the bank and enter the ticker symbols, and my grandpa would start quizzing me on which ones were which companies. So that's what really kind of got me into the world of finance. And I was, of course, a good Boy Scout selling popcorn and coupon books and things when I was a kid, too. So when I got older, I got into future business leaders when I was in high school. Actually, just yesterday, I was cleaning out some stuff and I found my old medals from when I
Right.
was a competitor. When I went on to college, I went to the University of Colorado, got a finance degree there. And my first job after college, I was a bank manager. And when I did a little blogging in college, not about money at all. Just it was fun. There was this new thing called Blogger that was
Mhm.
free, and you could go on and type things on the internet. This was 2007. So I finished college, got this job in the bank, and I didn't love the job at the bank. I was working 7 to 7. It wasn't just the right fit for me. But
Yeah.
in the training program there, I was a manager. I got to learn everything you need to know about money. So it's credit scores, credit reports. I
Mhm.
was approving mortgage loans. I was managing customer service. So angry customers came to me. Anything that would happen in the bank branch day to day pretty much went through me up to a certain dollar level, and then it went to my boss. But when I left that job, I said, I'm done with this bank thing. I headed home, got a job actually in corporate finance and accounting, where I stuck for about 10 years as my main thing. But when I got home from that job in the bank, I'd gotten really into personal finance blogs. There was this new thing called mint.com where I could see all my bank account balances and things in one place. So there was this whole new personal finance world coming to life on the internet. And I was reading these blogs mostly by people who were in a bunch of credit card debt, and they were writing their story about how they were getting out of debt. So I started thinking, well, geez, I've never been in debt. I've a month ago, I was approving mortgage loans. I have a finance degree. I should be the one teaching people about money. So I started a personal finance blog, and that's how what was then called Narrow Bridge Finance, what is now Personal Profitability, was born.
So you have literally been around money your whole life. That's an amazing story about your granddad showing you how the stock market, viewing the stock market when you were a boy.
Yeah, yeah. When I was sorry if there's any loud noise out there, everyone. I have some lawn guys out there with a leaf
Can't
blower.
hear it.
Great, great. So yeah, there were other great things my grandpa taught me. One favorite memory. I write a lot about my main income now is writing about money on other websites. Personal
Mhm.
profitability is still my own home online and near and dear to my heart. And I wouldn't have the one without the other. It's
Yeah.
definitely a linked story. When I was about 8, I've written about this a few times. My grandpa, for my birthday, gave me a general ledger notebook, which every 8-year-old's dream present. I wanted Power Rangers, so I got
Yeah.
I got a general ledger notebook, which actually looked kind of like this is moleskin notebook here,
Yeah.
but instead of being lined, it was like a grid, like back in high school, and if you remember, like grid lined
Yeah.
paper for graphs
Paper.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that, but a little more arranged like a check register. If you remember check registers, your Gen Zers have probably never seen a check register. Us
I know.
millennials saw our parents use them.
Scary.
So and that it was pretty much a giant check register, but not hooked to a checkbook. And he told me I should write down every time I made money and every time I spent money. And that way I'd always know where my money is coming from, where it's going, and what I have. And that is still probably my number one personal finance advice to other people is no, don't ignore your money. It will not fix itself. So those were some great lessons from a young age I got from my grandpa
There's
Joe.
almost a fine line that your granddad could have been teaching you how to do sort of a catch me if you can style lifestyle.
That would have been fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the jail part, the prison part.
Except for the jail part, but he's doing pretty good. What is it?
Frank Abagnale. Yeah. Actually, he is if you're listening to this in podcast form, there's a great podcast. Frank works with the AARP and they do a show called The Perfect Scam. And I've listened to probably, 30, 40 episodes of it. And it's people telling about financial scams. And then he goes and helps teach other people how to avoid them. So writing about money all day, scams are an important thing to understand and follow. So I've learned a lot there. I like that show.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I've listened to a few interviews with Frank, and he's a super interesting guy. For you then, Eric, what was when you moved into, you had your job, you left your job, you started doing your own thing. What was it that compelled you to help others then? Because you could have probably set up a load of things that is going to put money in your bank really quickly, but you obviously were seeing these issues going, actually, I should, like you said, I should be the one teaching this. But what compelled you to do that?
I don't know. No one's ever asked me that one. That's a good question. I think it was, I've never been afraid of cameras. Surprise, microphones are one of my favorite things. So I'm not one of those people who likes to hide away. I like to get out there and be a part of a community and be involved. And yeah, I don't know exactly what it was. I had, as I mentioned, I'd been blogging a little before on different topics. It got me interested in the idea of blogging. And that blog connected me to a really cool community online. People that actually, some of them I still know, some I met in real life. So I knew about this community aspect to blogging. I think that's what really drew me in the most. It's a place that you can reach just your mom, or my mom wasn't reading my blog in the beginning. She still doesn't know how, or reach anyone in the world. So there you can have such a wide voice, but you can also be so personal at the same time. I think that's what also led me into podcasting later on. I don't add new episodes very often these days, but I have 150 episodes or so of a podcast I did. It's the same thing. It's, I can sit here in this office in Southern California and have a really personal, intimate discussion with friends that I have yet to meet on the other side of the world. And there's people who've come up to me. It's just like, if you listen to any podcast, one time I got to meet Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew from Loveline, and they have a podcast. I got to meet them through a connection at a conference. I went down to their studio in the Burbank area. And when I think back to this moment occasionally, I was standing there with Dr. Drew, could have asked him any question in the entire world. I was thinking, what would I ask him? But I felt like I really already knew him. I've probably spent 1,000 hours listening to the guy. So I'm just some fan to him. He didn't know much about me, so he wasn't asking me questions. I was like, how I got here. Just made a little.
It's an interesting mix, though, isn't it? The personal aspect of podcasting and blogging mixed with the emotionally personal aspect of money, because people's finances are often, I'm a big believer that money is probably the second most emotional attachment people have in their lives after love and family and that kind of stuff.
Depends on the person. Maybe
it depends on the person. So I know a few people that money is definitely number one. But for you, how do you create that balance act to get over that personal aspects, to open people up, to speak about their money finances, to then enable to obviously help them, because you need to know the truth, right? People can't be hiding behind walls and saying, oh yeah, I'm doing this, but actually they're doing something completely different.
Yeah, so I think the first thing I do is I directly address it and say, let's stop having this be a taboo. I mean, I was lucky to grow up, as I said, my family wasn't hiding money situations from me. I learned a lot about money from my family. But if you talk to your friends or even look at yourself, look at how you grew up and how your family talked about money. And I mean, you obviously probably growing up didn't know what your parents' friends made. We don't talk about paychecks. There's a lot of things we still don't talk about.
That would have been a very interesting conversation.
It would have been. It's, I guess there's probably good reasons that we don't
Why?
have
What?
kids
Okay, so
talking about what our parents make.
on a par, then, why do you think there is such a taboo around money still?
I think a lot of people who have more are afraid of offending people who have less, and people who have less are nervous about asking questions. I think they're afraid they're going to. I think everyone's just afraid of offending each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the more people can be transparent, the better. So that's the second thing I've done. When I'm not doing income reports anymore, but if you go to personalprofitability.com, there's a link at the top that says income reports. And I shared exactly what I made and spent on my business every month. And accounting and finance background, I made pretty reports from it was over like 7 years of reports that I did. Wow. From when I made about 200 a month till I broke 10,000 a month, and I think the highest one on there I did 18,000 in a month. So I tried to really tell people, here's how I make money online, and here's how much I'm making online. There's no overnight success story here. I'm not lying to people. There's a lot of experts on Twitter selling their course, and that's the only thing they've ever made money selling online is their course about how to make money online. I've actually made money online. Yeah, and here's where it is, and there are good months and bad months, and but over time it has moved in the right direction. And I think if more people could be just more transparent about those discussions, and there should also be just less money shaming in society. If you have a friend, no one's going to concerts now thanks to the virus. We'll see if we ever go to to concerts again. But think about 5 months ago when the world was our old normal. If you had a friend, let's say you're in your early 20s, and your friend says, "Oh, I want to go see whatever band's coming through. It's $150." Everybody doesn't have $150. To a lot of people, that's a ton of money. Actually, there's a statistic out there. 40% of households in the U.S. don't have $400 in savings for an emergency.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's a scary number though.
It's the same as that. I think in the UK here, I think I have no idea on the percentage, but it is quite a large percent where people are sort of 2 paychecks from homeless.
Oh yeah, and the number here, I only know these numbers because I read about money all day. It's 78% of U.S. households are paycheck to paycheck, and that includes 9% of households who make $100,000 or more per year.
Because that's what people don't realize. They want more money. They want more money, but they also don't realize that their lifestyle is going to change from that.
It's called lifestyle inflation in the finance writing world. You get your annual, if you're lucky, you get an annual pay increase for cost of living. Really, that maybe that's tied to inflation a little bit. You should be ideally saving that. If you were really thinking 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road when you're not wanting to go to work anymore, hopefully we can all retire someday. The more you save now, the more you'll have later. And it's easy to take those pay increases and go get a newer car or a fancy new computer or Prada shoes or the new iPhone every year, whatever your thing is. There's a lot of good, fun ways to waste money out there. You can go to Vegas. You could go to you're in England. You could hop on the Channel train and go to Paris and have a lavish weekend of caviar and champagne. But future you, I mean, it doesn't sound so bad, right? But future you might regret that decision, and that comes down back into that $150 concert ticket, right? So your friend says, "Do you want to go to this concert with me?" Of course, everyone wants to go to the concert with their friend, but a lot of people can't afford it. They say yes anyway. They put that on a credit card, so all of a sudden they're in debt. A lot of people are afraid to say, "I can't afford it," but that's an okay thing. And another okay thing is to say, "I don't want to afford it," because maybe your friend really wants to go see, I'll make something up. Let's go 90s England. Let's say they want to go the Spice Girls. Your friend really wants to go see the Spice Girls, and you're like, "I don't care about the Spice Girls. I want to go see Paul Oakenfold." We're going real 90s. So actually, Oakenfold's still around. He's great. But you don't have to be into the same thing your friends are into, and that's okay. Maybe you're not into concerts at all. Maybe you would rather not spend any money going to concerts. You'd rather go to a fancy restaurants or go to Starbucks for your daily, coffee injection every day.
The guilt is still there for a lot of people, even for those people buying the Starbucks, every day. They're still for some that hint of guilt buying a Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned debt for a second. Do you think debt's good or bad?
It depends.
That's a massive, broad question. I know.
Yes. I think more debt is bad than good, but there
Yeah.
are good opportunities to use debt to make your life better.
Mhm.
Right now, I owe 6 figures, but that gets me the house that I'm sitting in.
Yeah.
So, I could be paying rent to somebody, or I'm not getting any equity. I'm just getting, use of a place to live. But here I have a huge loan, but that gets me a place to live, and I'm building equity.
Who is it that says that you should have zero debt? It's Dave Ramsey,
Dave
right?
Ramsey. Yeah. So Dave and I don't agree on that one. I'd say, there's, student loans are a good example of a debt that could be good or bad. It depends how you use them. I went and got an MBA that was left me with $40,000 in student loans when I graduated. But then I had an MBA, so I could make a lot more money. I paid those loans off. It was 2 years and 6 days after graduation.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so I was.
You hear some horror stories where they're taking 10+ years to pay them off.
Well, there's lots of horror stories. And my sister, she's a doctor. She's a surgery resident. She'll make a great income when she finishes her residency. But right now, she has $250,000 in debt. That's a lot of money. I think Dave Ramsey might say, I don't know, is that really worth it? And my sister, in the long run, it'll probably be worth it. But then I have friends who went to expensive private schools to get a degree, a master's in gosh, I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm brain farting. A master's in helping people, social work. Master's in social work. So a master's in social work is a really feel-good degree. I'm really glad there are people out there who want to be social workers and want to help people who need it. But if you graduate from a private school with a master's in social work with $200,000 in debt, going into a career where you'll make $25,000 a year, and that doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense. You really have to think about, is the debt going to make my life better in the long run or not? And then you look at places like credit cards, 20% interest rates or more. There's probably never a situation that's good unless it's keeping you and your family from being hungry or homeless. Other than that, you don't want that kind of debt. But there's 100%. Millions of people that owe a lot of money on credit cards for whatever vacation or.
Well, with the credit card as well, in the probably late 90s, early 2000s, it was sexy, right? It was sexy to use the plastic to whack it on credit cards. It still is, if someone
still sexy. I write about credit cards most of the day.
It's but this is obviously fueling the credit card company's pocket really nicely. It's not, and we got to, from moving away from a generalized statement, not everyone is in trouble just because they have a credit card or just because they have debt. For you, though, what's your opinion on how people are viewing that and how people are being educated that? Because often it's always after the fact, after they get into debt, they then go, oh, and maybe I need to learn about this now.
The school of hard knocks.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's the big problem. I don't know in the UK or in other countries how the education systems treat money, but here in the US, you pretty much don't get any money education unless your parents teach you about it. I think
it's very basic. Like, you don't get taught taxes. You don't get taught any I don't even think a credit card is mentioned in school in terms of a formal education.
And I would imagine, if schools' purpose is to prepare us to live a successful, productive, and healthy, long life, one of the most important things to doing that is managing your money. So if I were the king, I would, the all-powerful king, not the
king of the world, Thor,
the real kind of king. I mean, not like the actual queen, but if I were like all-powerful, I would say, well, the queen's powerful. You know what I mean? She can't.
Powerful. She just doesn't use any of the power. That's the thing.
She can't decree legislation, right?
No, I think she can, but she doesn't use it. Yeah,
well,
so she has
So if I were her, then let's say if I could really decree something, I would decree to finish high school, you have to have a basic personal finance class, and that would teach.
I'm pretty sure she has the power to just abolish laws and create laws as she wishes. But then obviously, like, the media side behind that would just never allow it.
I know how It's been a
hanging
few
on.
years since I took parliamentary law in high school.
Exactly. I would love to see it. She's like hanging onto the throne. She goes a bit senile and she just starts creating these amazing, crazy laws, and they have to be happening. That's the future, I think.
I hope she creates some amazing laws that are the kinds of things that everyone agrees would make the world better, but politicians can't agree on.
Oh,
Things like
is
things
that
like
even
teaching high school kids about checking accounts and credit cards.
It's a shame though, because this conversation has probably been going on for what, 10, 20 years. You got to change the education system. We're evolving around money. And now it's even more so because, university, college is becoming a less and less importance for a lot of people in a lot of industries. They're focusing much more on life skills and things like this. And yet the education side is not catching up. I don't think there's a simple fix for that. I don't think it's, even if you did get it passed in any single law possible, I don't think it's being able to applicate that easily is the issue, right?
Yeah, well, you can't make people be responsible, but
Yeah.
you could, in high school you have to learn about, or actually in elementary school you learn about percentages.
Mm,
You have to learn, what is 5%, what's 10%, what's
yeah.
50%. So maybe the logical progression in high school, you're teaching you about percentages. Maybe instead of making up some crazy situation, they put it into a personal finance class,
Mm.
or have that be a part of a math curriculum. Anyway, there's lots of ways we could do it, but until that's all fixed, if you're a parent or plan to be a parent, make sure you teach your kid about money. That's the number one thing you could do.
Yeah.
And I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 0-year-old, and I'm already teaching the 4-year-old about money, and the 2-year-old a little bit we're learning, but they have to understand we have to work to get money, and we have to have money to get things, and that's how the world works.
For your knowledge, okay, so let's take that example. You're teaching your 4-year-old child about money in a real world example. For you as a parent, what are you hoping to give him or her? Is it him or her?
The oldest is a her.
Her. So what are you hoping to give her for when she's, 18, 21, 25 from the education that you're giving to her when she's 4?
I want to give her the skills to make smart decisions about money when they come up, because we never know what money situation is going to come up. I write about emergency funds a lot. Most people, as we said earlier, most people in the US, or almost half, don't have $400. But
Yeah.
what happens when your car breaks down? What happens when your furnace needs a repair? What happens? We're not lucky enough to have a national health system. If we get sick or injured, it could bankrupt you in the US. Even if you have health insurance, it could cost $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to have a major injury or illness. So if you don't have any savings, if you don't have any preparation, if you haven't thought long term about money, and any of those situations could just wipe you out.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think, someday we all hope to retire. I think. I mean, there are people, I don't want to ever stop working totally, but I want to have the ability to work when I want, how I want at some point.
I think that's how retirement has changed a lot. It used to be, you hit a certain age, you retire, and you go and sit on your porch and you just watch the world go by.
You golf and fish, and
you golf, you fish. But now it's the more and more entrepreneurs and founders I speak to, no matter what age graphic they are, that whole, I don't think I'll ever retire is always cropping up. I'm the same. I can never imagine myself not doing something in a business form.
It got to be. I think that's what brings us all together. That's what that entrepreneur gene is, right? It makes we want to be productive. We want to be creating.
We've always got an itch to scratch.
Totally. Yeah. By my original definition of retirement, I've made it. Because I used to say I'll be retired when I don't have to go every day to a job to work for a boss. But I did that 4 years ago. So now what's my next version, right? So we're always evolving. We're always changing what we want.
So how do you keep yourself motivated now then?
Well, I mean, there's a few things. So one, I haven't reached the level of financial independence to say I don't ever have to work again. That's a goal, to say I don't ever have to. I still have to make money to pay the mortgage and all those things. But I don't have to go to a boss. I have to. I just know what's. It comes down to what kind of lifestyle I want to live, right? I know if I have to work, if I want a certain lifestyle, I have to work so hard and make so much. So that's the big motivation, is to give myself and my family the wonderful experiences that I hope to. That's the big
It's,
motivator.
it's a great, it's almost like a great social experiment from your side when you're teaching your kids this is such an important financial education. And when they are in their teens and going into early adulthood and they bring their friends around, you will just be able to see just the parents that did teach their kids about this versus the ones that didn't. You just got to make sure they stay away from the ones that didn't, because otherwise, that's the trouble.
You could probably still, even as an adult today, tell when you're just chatting with friends who grew up learning about money, who figured it out on their own. What are people's perceptions about money and business? And now that I have more friends with kids, it's interesting. I was on a mastermind call actually just earlier this week with a friend in Arizona who has a daughter a little younger than my oldest. And she was telling us how she had to explain to her daughter last week that most mommies and daddies wake up and have to leave and go to a job somewhere. And she's never seen her parents. She doesn't remember her parents doing that. I remember her dad going off to work, and I remember, as long as I've known her mom, she's been working at home. But her kids have never seen that. And I was thinking, my kids have never seen that. My kids have never seen their mom have a job. They've never seen me have to leave for a job. They just see me walk down the hall here and come into the office. So that is a new world we're teaching our kids, especially post-virus, when probably 20, 30, 40% of computer-based workers will be working at home, I bet.
Yeah, it's we're 2 months into this. If you're working from home now, you can pretty much work from home forever. In my opinion, there's no need to go to offices anymore if you don't have to. The only side effect of that is obviously the culture, the social aspect. Again, I think it's an entrepreneurial gene that we can sit in our own office on our own for 12 hours a day and not go crazy. I think some people go crazy, but
some people go back to work. It's not for everybody.
Exactly. It's one of those things. Eric,
I hope at 4 years in, I've made it long enough that I know I'm going to make it for the long run. I think that if you make it a year or two, you're probably okay.
Exactly. I'm 15 years into entrepreneurship. I'm still alive, so I'm like, okay, I'm good.
You're unemployable at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Sometimes I go and look at like job specs, and I just go, "Oh yeah, I could do that." And then I think about the commute, the office, everything else that comes with a job, and I just go, "Yeah, no, I can't do that."
I mean, that free bad coffee isn't enough to get you to go into an office.
No, it's not 4, maybe 3. No way. It's there's some offices here that make you pay for it as well. So
pay for your own coffee at work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a travesty.
Yeah, they have a little token system, and in it, but that's for them as a selling point, which is crazy.
Is that Ryanair?
No, I mean Ryanair. That's not.
You need a token to use the loo. You need a token to get a coffee.
That never took off. The toilet one never took off.
No pun intended.
But they tried to. Yeah, they tried to make you pay £1 to use the toilet. So who knows? Maybe there probably won't even be toilets on them in the future anyway. But Eric, listen. One of my final questions to you is something that I would love to just see what you're going to say to this. But if you had someone in front of you that, let's say they've done okay with money, they've done okay with life, what would be sort of your 3 tips for them to be able to get more out of their personal finances?
That's a great one. So first, something we've already discussed a little bit, pay attention. If you don't know what's going on, you could make a huge mistake and not realize it, or something, there's a lot that could happen. So pay close attention. At least monthly, you should just take a glance at all of your financial accounts. There's a lot of good apps that can make that very quick if you don't want to log into every account separately online with 19 different passwords or whatever you have to do for that. And do use different passwords on every site. That was another Frank tip.
Same password 10 for everything.
Yes, use a very different password on every single site, especially your money
generator. Even better. Yeah. Password generator.
Yeah, I'm a LastPass guy. There's lots of good apps out there. So number 2, I'd say think about the very long term. And it's easy. I mean, we grew up in a time where the average person would live to 70s or 80s. People who are in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s today could live decades longer than that. I mean, it's you wouldn't know it in the coronavirus time, but we are at a point where medical advancements, we're living a lot longer, and it's going to keep happening. Especially there's exciting stuff happening with gene therapies and stem cells, all sorts of stuff.
Musk and his chip into the brain and all that stuff.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna be like in the Matrix. We'll just plug in and learn things. But that might mean that your retirement savings have to last till you're 110, 105, not 75. So unless you're one of the very few lucky people to have a pension that will really keep paying you for your whole life and you believe it, you need to save for that yourself because no one else is going to provide it. Or have a ton of kids and just hope one of them gets rich. But I wouldn't make that my retirement plan. So plan long. And number 3, don't forget to enjoy your money a little bit. That's when you said earlier, people feel guilty about going to Starbucks. To me, that is the point of a budget. A lot of people look at their budget as something that says you can't spend here or here or here. You can only spend so much here, here, or here. I look at it the other way. It gives you permission to spend on whatever you picked. So, once you get your needs first, build the budget out, needs up. So, your place you live, food, utilities, transportation, clothing, the basics are all have to do's. But after that, take a percentage of your income that's going to go to retirement and long-term savings. And then you can take a percent, assuming everything's okay. If you're really in a ton of debt, this advice might be a little different. But for people who are mostly doing okay, it's all right to budget a portion of your income to do the concerts or the fancy restaurants or the trips or whatever the thing you're into is. And you don't have to feel like your thing has to be what your neighbor is into or your friend is into. Keeping up with the Joneses is a common saying. Screw the Joneses. It doesn't matter if you have the same car as your neighbor or the same big TV as your neighbor. What matters is you have the thing you care about. So that's where your budget should focus, and it's okay to enjoy it. Have a little fun with your money, because that's why we work so hard, right? Is to have a little fun with that money.
I think that's the biggest takeaway. I think remove the guilt, give yourself permission, and by doing that, you'll probably end up earning more money anyway because you're enjoying life more.
I hope so, and I'd rather, instead of budgeting to afford the life I want, I'd rather earn more to live the life that I want.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
There's no limit to what you can earn.
No. Exactly. I always say this. There's infinite amounts of money in the world, and it's just your view of it in terms of how much of that you get. Everything else is entirely up to you.
I love it.
Eric, listen, how can people get in touch with you? And if people want to speak to you, find out more about personal profitability, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. The easiest way to just send me a quick note is Twitter. I'm Eric Profits on Twitter. Or just head to personalprofitability.com. You can find the blog, podcast, YouTube, all that other good stuff, and social accounts there.
All the good juices.
Yeah. And actually, before we go, I'll give you guys one freebie because you stuck around for 33 minutes till the end. I have a giveaway. If you go to personalprofitability.com/bootcamp and drop your email in there, you'll get an email every morning with a link to a video. It's about 10 minutes long for a week, getting you on the path to personal profitability. That's totally free on the house.
Boom.
Personal Profitability Bootcamp.
Easy. Go do that, people. Even if you think you're good, you should still be doing stuff like that, in my opinion.
We can always get better.
Exactly. There's always something to learn. You're never at that top. There's no top. People try and aim for the top. There isn't one. It's just about learning from others and evolving. Eric, thank you so much for coming on to Founders 365. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And I really do hope that you guys are well over there, your family are well. And after all of this craziness, perhaps if you're in London or if I'm over there, we can meet up and actually have a face-to-face conversation.
I'd love to. London is really one of my favorite cities in the world, and I'd love to have a proper pint in London.
Yeah, it's a special place. It is. Thank you so much, Eric, for coming on. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. This has been Founders 365.